Hey, Steve Stine from GuitarZoom here. Thank you so much for joining me. This is the third video in a series where I'm talking about some of the ideas that I discuss in my guitar course, Fretboard Mastery. So what we did in the first video is we just built a scale position, right? Whether you're using pentatonic or diatonic, whatever it is that you're studying. And understanding the idea of mastery and how we can get so overwhelmed with this all or nothing attitude that we get lost in the weeds and we don't know what to practice, right? So really trying to understand that. So if you haven't seen that, please go back and watch it. Then in the second video, what we did was we took the idea of our meandering and we started adding some phrasing and some melody to it, okay? So in this video, what I want to do is I want to talk to you about one of my favorite things is my approach to the fretboard. And again, I'm going to be talking a lot about this in Fretboard Mastery, the guitar course as well. But let me give you some ideas and see if this can help you a little bit. So what I try and do is I try and think of my fretboard in three different ways. I think of it as moving up and down, right, across the fretboard. I think about it moving this direction across the strings. And I also think about moving across this way to come up with some new and unique ideas. So I want to give you a couple of ideas to think about here. Now, I am going to expand out a little bit from the pentatonic and add some other notes, so don't let that weird you out if you're not familiar with that. But let's say I was in my E minor space, whether it's E minor pentatonic, or maybe it's E minor diatonic. So the first thing that I do is when I'm playing, like I talked to you about with meandering, what I try and do is not just play everything straight up and straight down, because it just sounds like a scale. Now they work well when you're trying to play faster passages and things, but what's really nice is learning how to move over things. You see, you shake the notes up, you change things around so you're not just playing up and down. That's the first thing I want you to really think about is as you're playing, use the idea of meandering and sort of make it become part of the way that you play, where you're intentionally trying not to play it just up and down. Again, don't get me wrong. I talked about this in one of the earlier videos too. Playing by route, practicing something over and over and over is incredibly important. Absolutely. But chances are you've already heard me talk about that. Okay, so the trick here is we want to be doing that. But in this video, what we're doing is we're talking about taking that meandering idea and trying to formulate something that sounds a little bit more like music, sounds a little more creative, and it sounds less like a scale. Okay, so that's the idea here. So I'm taking this thing and I'm learning how to move around, okay? So instead of just playing straight up and down like a scale, I'm trying to cross over things, okay? So that's what this is to me, is it's really the idea. Now there, what I want you to notice is I started moving this direction. What I love about this is it cuts off the scale concept, the position or box that you're learning, because you can't just move up and down by route. You've got to move. You only have so many notes you can play in a spot before you have to move. And you can come up with some really great stuff by doing that as well, but you've got to be aware of that. So when you approach the fretboard to try and do a solo or write a solo or whatever it might be, you're not just playing through the scale. If you find yourself, every time you go to solo, if you find yourself just doing this with whatever scale that you're using, your brain is in route mode and it's practicing the scale. And that's fine. But then you have to understand you're not practicing creativity at that point. You might actually have to shut the music off and just practice that scale for a while. Or train yourself when the music begins to stop thinking by route and start thinking creatively. Okay? So that's the three spaces that I think about when I'm moving, or the three directions. As I think about moving up and down, which gives me more of a scalar idea. And then I think about kind of jumping over things and moving across the fretboard. And they all work sort of synonymous with each other as I'm playing, okay? So when I move to start doing single strings, I'm not just doing a single string, I'm actually trying to do a single string, and then I'm also trying to incorporate other ideas along with it as I play. So hopefully that helps you a little bit. Be on the lookout for my guitar course, Fretboard Mastery. I hope it helps you. I want you to stay positive and keep practicing, okay? And I don't want you to worry about, again, this all or nothing thing that sometimes, even I might try and convince you of, which if I do, I apologize. Your guitar journey shouldn't be that, okay? You've got a limited amount of time every day or every week or whatever to practice, and you need to find what works best for you that makes you feel good and makes you want to pick up that guitar. Challenges are wonderful, absolutely. But every single thing that you do can't just be a challenge, right? You've got to enjoy, you've got to reap the rewards at some point. So I want you to think about that. So stay positive, and I'll talk to you soon.